All right, friends, it's Timon, and we're back with a brand new video. It's on Mike O'Hearn, yeah. The gym, lifting, recruiting, fitness, and possibly gear slave himself, Mike O'Hearn. So we're going to react to his video. I found this video really interesting. So Mike O'Hearn's show, Derik Faye. All right, let's see what he has to say, because it's really interesting.
I think there is. You bring up something I want to differentiate. There are parents like you and Mona, and I say that because I know you personally, and I know Mona personally, and your son, and you're incredible parents. You're active, you're present, you travel with your son, you go out of your way to do all of these different events and sporting, and so that's what I would call an active parent. And then you have what I call landlords, and so landlords are people that.
Mike O'Hearn is an active slave. Okay. He's a very active slave. Very good. All right.
Happen to own a home, and their kids just live in the bedroom there. And so to raise 10 children would be nearly impossible would be very difficult. And so it's an accomplishment to your parents. And I also know that all of your siblings are accomplished and well-adjusted. So what an incredible accomplishment. Exactly.
Yeah, they were known to take steroids, and he threw them under the bus. They took steroids, but he won't talk about his use.
Yeah, I guess that was a left out point of view is they're all working, doing good nurses and
you know, I wonder how long he can keep this up for. Like, Mike O'Hearn looks pretty good, like, you know, his age and everything. But the Botox, the hair sutures, the cosmetic work, the Botox in the lips and all that, and lip filler, the artificial muscles and things. Yeah, I mean, it's very cosmetic-y, okay. And let's just put it this way, it's very unnatural, his look. If it was a natural look, it would look natural, but it looks very cosmetic-y. But, I mean, he does a good job to try to pretend that it looks natural, right? He's doing a pretty good job covering it up. But, you know, whatever. I mean, he's an entertainer. He has to look good for his channel and stuff, you know. Haul in the money, you know.
Yeah, land
Correct.
property owned. Yeah, so it's wow. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. So
Is that Milano tan you're using? The fake tan? Okay, yeah.
nice job. That being said,
You know, he probably never goes out in the sun or does anything natural. Everything has to be done artificially for Mike O'Hearn. Wow, it's incredible to go through your entire life doing stuff like unnatural. You have to be this unnatural slave your entire life. It's crazy. I don't know. To entertain people.
it came up to me on a discussion.
Like, you'd think he had made enough money now that he doesn't have to do this anymore. He could quit. Just like Scott Baio said, when he promoted Trump back in 2014, I think it was, he still had a job. 2014 or 2016. 2016 was his last job. And when he did that, he had no job. What has he been doing the last 9 years? Nothing, he says. I don't have to do anything, because he says he's fortunate not to do anything. Is Mike O'Hearn fortunate not to do anything? I don't know. He possibly, yes, he is. But then again, maybe he's not. That's why he keeps doing this. He keeps slaving away. He could be like these other influencers. He has to keep slaving away at this shit.
That, and again, I took it as a metaphor, somewhat. I guess you would say it. The person I was discussing, Titan and doing sports, and I was talking to an individual that has his son, who's a very good baseball player, just turned 16, and he's this 6'4" kid at 16, a great pitcher. And we're talking about the aspects of being in sports and making them do sports and stuff. And somebody came on and said, I don't believe in forcing your kids to do sports. Now, I know initially.
Yeah, the person who said that is right. You should allow your kids to discover things naturally. Yes, natural. I don't know. I don't even think Mike O'Hearn knows what's natural, because he's such a peasant slave, man. He grew up in a peasant slave family. He grew up as a peasant and a slave. What do you expect? He eats slave food diet, peasant slave food diet. And I've seen him feed his kid the peasant slave food diet too. That's why his kid's not going to really develop. He has this imagination in his mind that his kid is going to be something like him, and feeding him the peasant slave diet. Because here's the thing. People are feeding their children more peasant slave diets than they would in the past because they're being introduced to more artificial foods that they were not, how should I put it? They weren't exposed to like 30, 40, 50 years ago or whatever, 50 years ago. You understand me? So people always say, "Oh, we're omnivores." Yeah, but no, we're not. We're animals of opportunity. Because when you go to the corner store, man, you see food there that I didn't see shit there that existed like 50 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, okay, or whatever. Like seed oils, unheard of, man. All fast food restaurants, they're all like beef tallow and lard. This whole seed oil shit is new. So are you telling me that's what we're supposed to eat because we're omnivores? So if we're an omnivore, we can eat all of these things, right? And they won't affect us at all in any way. See what I mean? Which is ridiculous to think that way. We are not omnivores, we are carnivores. But here's the thing. We are going very far away from eating our natural diets. We are really cooking the shit out of our food. And that study, Pottenger's study with the cat, where it had these, the mutations in the face and the teeth and everything, you can see that now in children growing up, people growing up. You see it now, and I see it. Their facial features are fucking. It's all fucked up. Their teeth are fucked up. They're crooked and everything. They have a fucked up face. They're upset because it started in the wound, and then it started with eating the slave food diet outside, out of the wound, and it continues on, and it's getting worse and worse all the time. They don't even know what sex they are. They're loud, they're colical, they're screaming, they're yelling, they're depressed, they have all these serious issues because the parents they refuse to feed them a natural raw animal diet, which would solve all the problems. And not only that, but the child would develop to its full capacity by being on a natural, raw, high nutrient animal diet, and with all the animal parts along with it, the blood, the organs, the brain, this, that, whatever. If you teach your kid to eat those foods in the beginning, like normal food that you're supposed to, if he's introduced to them, he will love them all the time. But if not, if it's just a slave food diet, guess what happens when you show these animal products to other people and you tell them, "Oh, eat it raw" or something? The first thing they go is, "Ew." A carnivore animal, a normal carnivore animal that grew up eating meat, like a dog or something, would never say "ew." Get it? Yeah, only a human would say that. Because they're ridiculous. Humans are crazy. But like I said, it ruins their attractiveness. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened here.
Conventional deadlift is the best.
Sorry about that. I pressed something and it flipped over. Anyways, like I said, if they would feed the natural diet to their children would develop and have high cheekbones, symmetrical face with hunter eyes. They would be very attractive, so they wouldn't have to cry and scream about not being attractive and nobody wants them. You understand me? They'd have a shot in life. Now, animals in the wild, they don't look mutated, their faces, because they eat their natural diet. So Pottenger's study is correct. You see the cat is completely diminished. Yeah, eating cooked meat and pasteurized milk.
That statement. What is your take on a young child doing sports? Or the term, I guess, is more, it's not so much more the sport aspect. You can take that and go with it as you want, but the aspect of saying force for a child. And my child's, again, kindergarten.
Right.
But
I don't believe in forcing children to do anything, but you have to introduce your child to all of the things that are available. And so I think some people use the word force as a way to allow themselves to be lazy parents. And so
they use the word force to be lazy parents. Force, yeah. What's the definition of slave? Forced to work. What's a slave? A slave is somebody who's forced to work. The definition, what he says is, the parents are lazy, so they force them. No, the parents are just a bunch of slaves, and they're carrying on this tradition of enslaving their children. That's what's happening.
So I didn't force my child into anything. I introduced my daughters to all of the opportunities that were available. And so With my youngest, it was.
Yeah, you can introduce them to anything. See what I mean? Why are you introducing them? Because you want to enslave them to these things. That's why you're introducing them. Yes.
Was soccer and volleyball and softball, and the ones that.
Look, I've played sport. I play sports. I play things only on the basis of joy. I don't do it because somebody asked me to do it. I want to do it, or do this or whatever. I do it. I do things the way I feel that I want to do. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it. It's really simple. Bodybuilding. Yeah, I do it when I want to do it, and then I don't do it when I don't want to do it. So it's not something I have to repeat forever and ever. It's not something I want to do forever because it's unnatural. It's something you're doing something unnatural. Bodybuilding is unnatural. I don't care what people say, naturals and fake natties. It's all unnatural. Whatever you're doing there is unnatural. So it doesn't really matter what people say. It's an unnatural event. It's not something you would do in nature, bodybuilding. You wouldn't be bodybuilding your body out in nature. It's only something you do in the matrix here called this, whatever, this fantasy world. We live in man's world.
She loved, she pursued, and the ones that she just didn't enjoy, we didn't do it. But so.
Yeah, there you go. At least he gave her the option, see?
No, I don't think you should force your child, but I also don't think you should use it as an excuse not to introduce them and keep introducing them to things until they find something that they're passionate about.
I like that word, passionate about. They don't really know what they're passionate. Man, they don't really know what they're passionate about because they're not out in nature. He hasn't really introduced them to nature. He's introducing them. He's introducing his kids, these girls, whatever, to artificial things, man's things, artificial things. He's never introduced them to anything what they want to do out in nature. See the difference?
Okay, you're much nicer.
They were never given the option. Nobody has in this society. We're not given the option because the option has been taken away from you. I mean, you're not in shackles. It's just a different kind of enslavement. You understand me? Priorities, responsibilities, yada, 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 yada. You get the idea.
Me. I said,
Well, I want to hear your take.
my take was you're an idiot as a parent. And yes, I force him. And
Yeah, see right away. Listen to Mike O'Hearn. You're an idiot, and yes, I would force him. See what I mean? Because he's a good, obedient slave, Mike O'Hearn. He's a great peasant.
continued that by going, my son doesn't want to go to school. I make him go to school.
Yeah, your son doesn't want to go to school because it's unnatural to go to school. He doesn't want to go to school. It's kind of obvious. Think about it. He's already in this video. If you really understand what's going on, he's even telling you, my son doesn't want to go to school. I force him to go to school. I force him to go to this prison called school. I force slaves to go to work. Get it? What is slavery? Forced to work. Slaves, they don't want to do what? They don't want to work. Why doesn't anybody want to work? Because it's unnatural to work. That's why. Why doesn't anybody want to go to school? These kids want to go to school because it's unnatural to go to school. Why do they skip off school? Because they don't want to go to school. That's why. Why do they cry when they go to school? Because it's unnatural. They don't want to go there because it's like being in jail. It's like it's this institution, bro, get it? And it's all geared to keep enslaving you throughout your life to go out, get a job, and be a slave. It's to prep you to keep being a slave for the higher ups. You're a slave for the higher up people.
Every parent does.
Fair enough.
Or the majority of parents. Force, if you want to use that word, that's fine. Force them to
That's
go to
fair.
school.
You do force them to go to school.
And they
You do.
learn. You force your child to eat some meals during the day.
See, listen to what he says. I force him to go there. I force him to eat some meals. Listen, meals throughout the day. What are these mere fucking meals? These meals that Mike O'Hearn is forcing his child to eat? Slave food diet. I know because the mother to one of my children, she does the same. And my daughter would come home and never eat that slave food diet because I told her she just wants to eat animal products because she's like me. You get it? My genes are passed on. I just want to eat meat. I never liked plants. I'm going to tell you honestly. When I was growing up, I ate very little of that. I loved milk. I loved animal products. I like cheese and stuff. Yeah. I'm not saying I haven't eaten a pizza or stuff like that or whatever, eating out fast foods or whatever. I also worked in the food industry, so I ate a lot of good food there when I had the chances to. But I really am a meat eater. That's why I'm lucky that my physical, it looks the way it does, is not so bad. It hasn't really completely mutated because of these toxic plants and shit, the slave food peasant diet.
Again,
Yes.
and you try to get them to eat something healthy.
Yeah, but what is healthy to Mike O'Hearn? Have you seen what is healthy? What he eats? Slave food diet. He even promotes. He puts on his table. A lot of artificial slave food diet. It isn't a natural food for a carnivore animal. It's not. He doesn't promote any of that. If he wanted to be really healthy, Mike O'Hearn, then he would eat those kind of foods. Me personally, I eat a lot of raw food like sushi, raw meat, this and that. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not a saint. I don't eat some cooked stuff. I definitely do, but I try to eat as much as I can, raw, natural, and organs and stuff like that. Beef blood, this uncooked beef blood, because I have access to uncooked beef blood in Ontario where I am, because it's legal. And but if you read about beef blood online, it'll tell you, oh, it's got pathogen and everything in there. All these bad things are going to make you bad. Well, that's all bullshit, because it's high in protein. Beef blood is very high in protein. It's high in just about everything. You need beef blood. You need everything to be healthy in your body, every part of that animal to be healthy. If you're just eating one part, you're never going to see your full potential. That's the whole point. So you'll never see it. And stuck on the slave food diet. The child will grow up on the slave food diet, and he'll wonder why he's, second rate.
Yes.
I mean, you can give them cake twice a day because that's what they want. You can let them sit on the computer or the.
I love this one. They like cake. This is what they want twice a day. That's not what he wants. That's because you've exposed him to that cake, which is a drug. It's sugar. So it's just drugs. That's not what he wants. He wants what you feed him, how you raise him. Look, I'll explain this. So when I lived in Mexico, I had a girlfriend there. She had like, I don't know, 2 or 3 kids. I knew her for a while, and I told her, I said, listen, the kids, they need to brush their teeth, man. They have bad teeth, this and that. You need to take them to the dentist. They have to, they got to get checked up, and their teeth need to be fixed, yada, yada, yada. Even so, I went out, I bought them these electric brushes. Even the littlest one was copying the other ones because he wanted to be in on it. He wanted to brush his teeth too. Get it? He wanted to have good teeth. So when you expose children, you're as an adult, your job is to guide them in the proper way, like to eat proper, to raise them properly, stuff like that. Not only a slave food diet. Make sure that they brush their teeth, that they you don't want them to get cavities or lose their teeth or anything, right? You know what I mean? These things you need to teach them about, being clean and keeping things in order, keeping your home clean where you live. I taught them how to keep everything clean, wash everything, the sofa, this, that, clean, make sure the sheets are clean, the beds. They were young, they were just kids, but again, they needed guidance. And at one point, she wasn't feeding them, and they said they were starving. And I said, listen, you need to take care of them. You need to feed them, otherwise they'll be malnourished. And they were. The daughter was getting in some kind of infection, urinary. She had one time. They sent a babysitter. The clothes were dirty. That they were malnourished. They weren't growing. But once they started eating, they started growing. They weren't malnourished anymore.
Video games all day, but you are trying to get them to do their homework. So my understanding to that, and I like how you put it, you said you introduced it, which is a much nicer word than mine.
It's a nicer way of saying the same thing. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Agreed.
We made the point that if I force him to do a sport, just like he has to go to school, he has to learn a musical instrument to get both sides of the brain.
Yeah, to force him. See, yeah, I have to force him. Why do you have to force your child to do anything?
Brain function in a certain way, and do sports so he can learn teamwork. His body, get it moving, get it.
Teamwork, body moving, this and that. See, my parents never forced me to do anything. I asked my mom if she could pay for my Taekwondo classes, because that was a new concept back in the 70s, and I wanted to go to Taekwondo. So, watching all these karate movies, they were popular in the day, 60s, 70s. So I wanted to go there and be part of it. I mean, I used to roller skate. I'd go to Roller World, roller skating all the time. Go, park this, that. It was a popular thing to do. So those were the things I wanted to do. They were fun, you know. So I would do them, but it's not like they had to force me. Now, if I have to be forced to do something, that means I don't want to do that.
Understanding how his body is functioning at 6 years old, or if you got a 10-year-old or any age.
Social skills, all of it.
I thought that was an interesting point of that person using sports as a toxic thing.
Yeah.
Going, I'll make him go to school.
Yeah, but I won't make him try this. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we're saying the same thing in a different way. I don't believe in forcing sports on a child, but actually hearing you say it.
What would happen if the entire society stopped forcing their kids to go to school? What would they do? See, what would really happen in this society? Well, I mean, would it collapse? I don't know. Something would happen. Something would have to give or change or whatever. You know what I mean? But if they didn't go to school, that means that this society would not survive either. Because, I mean, you need a relative amount of whatever this enslaved conditioning in the school is teaching them, is to get this system to continue on the way it is. Without that, how should I put it, enslavement or conditioning, then this thing would all collapse. They wouldn't do anything. They would do what they want to do.
You're right. We force our kids to do a lot of things. And so if sports and, team activities and going outside.
Of course you force your kids to do a lot of things because you're a slave. You've been forced to do it, and now you carry on the tradition and enslave your kids to do it as well, yeah.
If you have to force your child to do that, I was in a lucky position where my children loved it and breathed it and wanted to do it. But absent that, I think if I had to force my child to do something.
Do they want to eat slave food diets, or were they forced to eat it? See the difference? He says, oh, they want to do it. I forced them and and they do it, yeah. But here's the question. Were they forced to eat a slave food diet, or did you allow them to choose? No, you didn't allow them to do anything. You forced them to eat a slave food diet because your kids are slaves. Your wife is a slave, your kids are a slave, you work for a slave master, whatever. Your job, your money is slave money, going to your slave store, whatever, living your slave life. That's what it really is, the bottom line.
Of all of the things that parents force their kids to do, sports and physical activity is probably at the top of the list of things that should be forced more nowadays, for sure.
Why?
It was transformative for me. It was transformative for my child, and I know it was transformative.
It was transformative. So they became a better slave. Is that it? Or they became a good conditioned slave. That's how they transformed them. They transformed them to a complete conditioned slave. Yes, very transformative.
And it will be for Titan.
Yeah.
How many things can you learn from just doing a sport?
And it will be for Titan. Yes.
So, hypothetically, if I force him to do the one thing, that's go from the house to the field. Now, what is he going to learn on the field outside of sports? Because I think they do this thing. They go, well, sports is a I don't know.
You see how all of you have been enslaved because all of you have been forced to do these things by your parents. My parents forced me to do a lot of things. Trust me, I did not want to do any of those things, but they forced me because I'm a slave, get it? Just like these two guys on this panel. And just like everybody else that is watching this video and has watched this video are all slaves. But of course, my videos can't do good because when you speak the truth on the internet, it goes against the elite at the top. They don't want to hear that. They don't want you educating the slaves, bro. They want to continue this continuation of enslavement. They want you to promote it. That's the whole point. I'm not promoting that on my channel. Well, I'm saying that I still do some things like bodybuilding, this and that. I don't know if you can call that enslavement. Not necessarily, because I'm not forced to do it. I only do it when I want to do it. But if somebody's doing it because they don't want to do it, but they're forced to do it, they're forcing themselves to do it, then that's a sign of enslavement, yes.
a toxic thing, and you don't need to do sports. You can just be a kid, ride your bike and stuff, which is great. But
Yeah, that's right. You could be a kid. Why won't you allow him to be a kid? Because nobody will. You're all slaves.
you learn a lot in sports. Outside of
I
the
love this one. You learn a lot in sports. What do you learn in sports exactly? Please tell me. What do you learn? Nothing. There's nothing. You don't learn anything. You just learn. What do you learn? Nothing. You get tired. That's what. You learn that it'll age the fuck out of you eventually doing these things if you do them hardcore enough, right? But yeah, you could get joy from doing, I guess you could do some sports like for enjoyment. I think Michael Hearn is talking about like you want to do it as a business, maybe as a, I don't know, as a profession. That's why.
actual sport, let's say I'm not putting him in sports to be a pro football player. I'm not doing that. I'm putting him in sports to learn teamwork, friendship.
How about putting him? How about putting him with the elite, like bankers and stuff, to learn banking? Maybe I don't know, drop shipping, something, how to make money. Why doesn't Michael Hearn teach him how to make money? Because Michael Hearn is a slave. You understand me? He doesn't know how to make money. He probably has some money, but that's only because he's a slave. He works in this industry as a slave. And now he wants his child to be a slave just like him. Get it? The tradition carries on and on and on and on. So you see what I mean? The parents, they don't. He didn't mention anything about introducing them to make money so that they could do whatever they want in their life and be happy. He's like, no, I don't want them to do whatever they want. I want to force them to be a slave by doing these crazy sports and going to this slave school and doing slave sports and slave shit. Get it? You get the idea now, man? Yeah.
Being able to work with others, communication. Isn't there a handful of things that you can learn in a sport?
I love that one. Communication. Yeah, if one thing you're really communicating your slave mentality here. Yes.
I think it's a metaphor. I think sports are a metaphor for life, and you can say it's because
For slaves, it is. In the Colosseum, who did all the sports down there? Who got killed? The slaves. What did the elites do? They were sitting at the top watching, laughing, eating meat while the slaves ate salad. They ate the slave peasant food diet, and then they went to their death there. Get it? Entertaining the elites. Yes.
I was an athlete, or you can say it's because my father forced me, which, by the way, my father absolutely forced me to participate in sports.
Yeah, because the tradition carries on. His father enslaved him, and his father slaved him as well. Get it? And it's tradition. You see how it's carried, it's passed down? Traditionally, yes.
And I will tell you that it was the most transformative part of my entire life. It shaped me.
Of course, it was the most transformative part of his life. It shaped him into being a very good, obedient slave. Yes, I bet you he's gonna admit to it.
As a young man, it shapes me still as an adult today. It has given me work ethic that I don't think I would have ever enjoyed.
I love this one. Work ethic. Only a slave can put it in those words like him.
Today as an adult, it taught me teamwork in a way that I wouldn't have understood. It taught me how
I love that teamwork. The elite at the top, they're all alone. Like Microsoft, like Bill Gates, all these people. There's no teamwork, man. It's them. You know what I mean? They have people working for them, but it's just them. They don't even keep friends because friends can turn to enemies. Yeah.
win in a good way, lose in a good way. It taught me competition. It taught me interaction. It taught me to be in tune with my body. It taught me everything that I really like about myself as an adult. So
no, it taught you everything you like about yourself as a slave. Get it? I like how he says adult to cover up the slave part. As a slave, just say it, man. Just fucking say it, bro. Slave.
It's not kind of a good thing. I think sports and physical activity is probably paramount in every child. Should be paramount in every child.
No, he doesn't. He's just regurgitating shit that he's been conditioned to. He doesn't really believe in what he's saying. Trust me. No slave does. because slaves have been conditioned to believe that stuff. You understand me? But it's fake.
It's life.
I agree with you on all that, and I think when sports for us,
Of course, one slave talking to the other, they both live in this slave world. Of course he's going to agree. Why wouldn't he?
I think in our era, it was more of the term I'm using. You're doing this. You're gonna do this. Well, under my house,
Absolutely.
it's my rules.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Under my house, my rules. You're a slave.
I was talking to somebody and I said, it was an interesting statement. He said he grew up with one brother, and I grew up with, again, nine siblings. And the one thing that there wasn't in my era was there wasn't I don't get to ask why. It's just because. My parents.
See, you don't get to ask why. It's just because you have to be a good slave, obedient slave.
My mom or dad said, "You're doing this." Why? No. You're doing this. You don't get.
See, you don't get to what?
As I say, not as.
You don't get to ask what. You're just doing this. You forced to work. Slaves are what? Forced to work. Anytime you're forced to do anything, you are a slave. Get it? He's a slave. Mike O'Hearn is the biggest slave on the internet, believe it or not.
I do, or yeah, because I said so. There you go. Because I said so.
Yeah.
So it does. I mean, that's how we grew up. And listen, I just want to.
Exactly. That's how all these slaves have grown up. And I'm a slave too. I grew up just like them, a slave, bro. Get it? But to break out of the shackles of this slave thing, you have to unprogram yourself. It may not be easy for everybody. It could be difficult for some. They don't want to believe that they're a slave, that they grew up as a slave. See, they can't fathom nature and this fantasy world they live in called the city. The city people. Get it? They're all weak. They have to go to this place called the gym. And they have to lift the weight in the gym because they're all weak. They need to get stronger. I gotta get stronger because the other slaves told me that I'm weak. So I need to go to the gym. And that's how I get strong. But in fact, because you went to the gym, just because you lifted a weight, doesn't make you stronger. Now, of course, more muscle will make you physically more stronger, definitely, and probably faster in a bunch. Will make you faster in a bunch of things. It will make you bigger, better, stronger, and faster. I'm not denying that. Now, but you have to go through a sequence of events to get there. See what I mean? Most people, the truth is, they really don't want to go through any of that. That's why, because they're slaves. That's why they're always complaining in the gym about fake natties, this and that, because the truth is, really, the good majority of these slaves, they don't want to put in the work, but they will if given the right, how should I put, the right guidance and the right whatever. They would do it. They would go all out, and then they would get something. But yeah.
Circle back a little bit. I've got two daughters.
But it is definitely unnatural to go to the gym, and lift the weight, man-made weight in the gym, man. Get it? Because you wouldn't be doing that out in nature. But anyways, you get the point, man. This is funny.
Was an absolute stud of an athlete, and one who, if you threw a ball at her, it would hit her in the face. So
she would be a stud athlete if she ate a natural, raw, carnivore animal diet. Get it? Because she would fully develop. So she wouldn't even need to practice at being good at doing any of these sports. If you're here's the thing. If you're fully developed, right, to your full potential, you're not going to need any of that. But we're all underdeveloped because we're on the slave food peasant diet. None of us are fully developed. We're domesticated animals. Look, man, when they look at these animals out on the farms, they're different. They look different, smaller, this, that. In nature, they're a lot bigger, stronger, blah, blah, blah. Because they're fed an unnatural diet too as well, get it? And then they have to get them fat. You know what I mean? And guess what happens to humans when we eat more of slave food diets? We get fat too, obese. So there you go. We are domesticated animals. We're not as big as our predecessors before us. And we're losing our teeth because of that too, and everything else.
You do have to know your children, right? And so that circles back to I don't know if I love the word force, but let me go.
Your children are suffering because you're feeding them a peasant slave food diet, and so they will suffer the rest of their lives. They'll suffer from something, poor health, I don't know, depression, yada yada, maybe poor looks, physical ailments, problems, this that. They will suffer because of that the rest of their lives. Yes.
A little deeper. I do believe you do need to, at some level, force them to pursue things. Here's what I mean. Sophia
Why?
took to athletics like I did. She loved it, and I really did push that because I knew she loved it.
Did she really love it, or is it because she followed the other slaves? Monkey see, monkey do. See what I mean? The truth is, did she really like doing that? Or does she really like to do what she wants to do and just, climb and run around and have fun in nature? But has she been out in nature? No, not really. Have you introduced her to anything in nature? No, absolutely not. You haven't.
Loved it. Isabella just wasn't built for athletics, so instead of pushing the sports, we pushed her or forced her to something.
I like this one. She wasn't built for sports. Why wasn't she built? Because she's actually built to be a hunter, to be everything, but she is underdeveloped because of the slave food peasant diet.
Something that she became her sport, and so for her it was acting and being on the stage, and so it did still
Acting and being on the stage, yeah, because she doesn't want to do any work. She wants to do some easy stuff, yeah, acting, hanging around the stage, yeah, speaking. Like podcasters, that's all they want to do is podcast. They don't want to do any physical work.
give her similar characteristics and lessons in life. And so what I'm not suggesting is if you have a kid who hates athletic and he trips over the rug, every single day he comes home from school, maybe he doesn't belong on a football field, but he also doesn't have to be.
I don't know that. He may or may not, but he'll never know because you have underdeveloped him on the peasant slave food diet. Get it, dude?
Sitting in front of the TV every single day doing nothing.
It's that time.
Yeah, humans want to sit in front of a TV and do absolutely nothing all day. I'll tell you the truth, man. If I had a choice when I was a kid to do anything, I would want to do nothing, absolutely nothing. Yeah, I would want to, like he just said, stay in front of the TV and do nothing. Yeah, I could do that easily. Yeah. Why would you want to do anything that stresses the shit out of you? See what I mean? You're simply acting. Humans don't really want to do anything other than hang out in nature, maybe go jump in the river, swim, run around out there, hunt, eat some animal stuff, whatever humans do in nature. But we don't know because we don't live in nature. We don't live with nature, out in nature. We despise nature. We want to destroy it.
Again, to get my blood work done to see.
We want to destroy everything that's natural, and everything that's natural in us, we want to destroy everything natural within us too, and not to act on our natural instincts at all whatsoever.
My numbers are. Again, the one big thing for me is I'm keeping track of it, and it's so precise.
You see this stuff? You see what Mike O'Hearn really is?
Competed in bodybuilding and powerlifting and martial arts, but that was all over decades ago. And so how can I continue to keep this physique and be this strong at this stage?
Easy. Steroids, HCG, human chronic gonadotropin. It's a youth drug.
And so that is by optimizing my health with Titan Medical.
He's benching 500 pounds there, right? In his mid-50s. Come on, man.
Stems from one thing: your blood work, what's going on inside of you. And that's the main thing that I'm focused about, is see how I can continue to not just be in the game. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be a weekend warrior. I don't want to say you got a dad bod. I want to be the pinnacle of the health and fitness.
Weekend warrior, dad bod. That's because of the slave food peasant diets they've been fed, all these people.
History, decades after I competed. And I've always said this too. You got so many of these guys that were with me in the 80s and 90s.
He competed in a slave event where all the rest of the slaves compete on drugs. Possibly, yeah.
And they keep putting the pictures up from the 80s and 90s. I don't want to be that guy. I like the fact that I can still put up pictures of me today, even though I won the universe back in the 90s. That's the goal for me.
Yes, the goal is to continue on being a slave enslaving yourself to this thing called steroids, I guess. People want to enslave themselves to it forever and ever and ever. Yeah. You have to be enslaved to that to keep it up. Otherwise, the other slaves, they'll go against him. They won't watch him anymore. And his slave money that he makes off of these other slaves will go away.
I don't know what your goal is, but I can tell you this. I know you want to live, and I know you want to live your best life.
Yeah.
And that starts with blood work over at Titan Medicals.
What is your best life? Why do you need blood work at Titan? What would be wrong with you? If you eat natural food, what would be wrong with you? Why would you need to do any of these things? These are all unnatural things, like Titan Medical Center. This is all unnatural stuff. You understand me? That's how these industries exist. It starts with one thing and it moves on to another. It's like a bad rash that won't go away, or cancer that won't go away.
Start today.
That was really interesting, man. I don't know what to say there. I'll see you in the next video. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Look at this one. Finally, the truth. Yeah, I don't like GVS. I can't stand him. I'll see you in the next one, bro. He's a gym slave, bro. All of them are gym slaves. Peasants.